Everyone knows Google Search. You probably use it multiple times a day. But there's another Google service you're probably using right now, this very moment, and you have no idea it exists. It's called Google DNS, and it handles over 1 trillion queries per day. That's more than 100 times the searches on google.com. Today, I'm going to show you what this hidden Google service actually does, why it matters, and why understanding it might change how you think about the internet. You're watching Tendo, and this is the quote of the day. This is for complete beginners, so if you use the internet, this is for you. There's no tech jargon, there's no complicated explanations, just the stuff that matters. Here's what we're covering. By the end, you'll understand a piece of internet infrastructure that's invisible but essential. What is DNS? Let's start with the basics. DNS stands for Domain Name System. Think of it like a phone book for the internet. You know a person's name, you need their phone number, so you look it up in a phone book. You know a website's name, google.com. Your computer needs its phone number, its IP address. DNS looks it up. Here's what happens in real time. You type youtube.com into your browser. Your computer doesn't know where that is, so it has to ask a DNS server, hey, what's the IP address for youtube.com? The DNS server answers, and your browser connects to that address. Boom, YouTube is loaded up. This happens for every website you visit, every app that connects to the internet, every single time, and it's invisible, automatic, but it's absolutely essential. So, who provides this DNS service? Usually, it's your internet service provider, your ISP. When you connect to the internet, your ISP automatically provides you with DNS servers to use. Now, let's compare these two Google services. Google Search is what you know. You tell Google what you're looking for. For example, the best pizza near me, and it will give you a list of suggestions. It basically helps you discover and find things. Google DNS is different. You already know where you want to go, pizza.com. Google DNS gives you the IP address so your computer can actually get there. Search helps you discover what exists. DNS helps you get to what you already know exists. Both are essential, but one is famous and the other one is completely invisible to most people. As of recent studies, about 10% of internet users, which is hundreds of millions of people, use Google DNS. It handles roughly 30% of all global DNS traffic. It's the largest public DNS service in the world, and most people using it have no idea. So, what is this dns.google website? dns.google is the web interface for Google Public DNS. It's a website with three main features that most people never see or use. Let me show you what each one does. The first feature is a DNS lookup tool. You can type any website address and see its DNS information, its IP address, mail servers, all of the technical details. Now, why would you use this? Well, you could check if a website's down for everyone or just you. If dns.google can find the website's IP address, but you can't load it, then the problem's on your end, not theirs. The second feature is a flush cache tool. When a website moves to a new server, it can take hours or even days for everyone to see the change, because DNS information is cached, saved up temporarily. The flush cache tool tells Google servers, forget what you know about this website and go and get the new information right now. DNS caching exists for efficiency. If a million people visit youtube.com, Google DNS doesn't need to look up the address a million times. It remembers it. But when a website changes, you need a way to force an update. That's what the flush cache tool does. The third feature is encrypted DNS. Traditional DNS queries are sent in plain text, so anyone between you and the DNS server can see which websites you're trying to visit. DNS over HTTPS and DNS over TLS encrypt those queries so they look like normal web traffic, making it much harder for anyone to track which sites you're visiting. So, why do millions of people manually switch to Google DNS? First, let me show you what people actually use. Google DNS has two IP addresses, 8.8.8.8 and 8.8.4.4. These addresses were intentionally chosen to be easy to remember, all eights or two eights, two fours, simple and memorable. To use Google DNS, you just change your computer's DNS settings to point to these addresses instead of your ISP's default DNS servers. Most people never do this because their ISP's DNS works fine. Still, millions have made the switch. Here's why. First reason, speed. Google has data centers all over the world. When you query 8.8.8.8, you're actually hitting the nearest Google server to you because of something called anycast routing. For many people, this is noticeably faster than the ISP's DNS servers. One user ran speed tests and found 8.8.8.8 was about 10% faster than the ISP, and 8.8.4.4 was 50% faster. Now, your results would vary depending on where you are and which ISP you have. Second reason, reliability. Google's DNS infrastructure is enormous and redundant, multiple servers in multiple locations. If one goes down, there are backups ready. Google handles over 1 trillion DNS queries per day without breaking a sweat. Third reason, security. Google DNS includes protections against DNS hijacking and cache poisoning attacks, where attackers try and redirect you to fake versions of websites. Since 2013, Google DNS has fully supported DNSSEC validation, which cryptographically verifies DNS responses. Fourth reason, bypassing restrictions. Some ISPs block websites by manipulating DNS. They lie about the IP address or just don't return one at all. Switching to Google DNS bypasses your ISP's DNS entirely. In some countries where internet censorship is common, this can make a real difference. A real example, in March 2014, the Turkish government blocked Twitter during protests. Citizens started switching to Google DNS and regained access because they were no longer using their ISP's manipulated DNS servers. So should you switch to Google DNS? Here's the main thing to consider. Your DNS queries reveal a lot about you. Every website you visit, every app you use, your entire browsing pattern over time. Google's official privacy policy for public DNS states they temporarily log your IP address for 24 to 48 hours, then delete it. They keep aggregated, anonymized data about query patterns, but they don't link this to your Google account and they don't use it for advertising. So they say. When you switch to Google DNS, you're not eliminating trust, you're shifting it. Instead of trusting your ISP with your DNS queries, you're trusting Google. So, which one do you trust more? And that's a personal decision. It's important to say, Google DNS does not filter content. It doesn't block malware sites and it doesn't block ads. It just returns raw, accurate DNS answers. If you want filtering, you need to use a different DNS service that offers features. You might want to use Google DNS if your ISP's DNS is slow or unreliable. If your ISP blocks sites you legitimately need to access, or you simply trust Google more than your ISP. You might want to skip it if your ISP's DNS already works perfectly fine. If you want content filtering or parental controls, or if you'd prefer not to send your DNS data to Google. Let me zoom out and show you why this matters. DNS is critical internet infrastructure. It's like roads or electricity. You don't think about it until it stops working. But when it breaks, the entire internet effectively breaks. The current DNS model relies on centralized services, your ISP or companies like Google and Cloudflare. These can be manipulated by governments, monitored by companies, and represent single points of failure. There are alternatives being built, decentralized DNS systems where no single entity controls the naming infrastructure. Systems like Handshake Protocol aim to make DNS censorship resistant and give users true ownership. But that's a topic for another video, and I've already made a video on that, so you can go check that out. Today, you learned what DNS is, how Google DNS compares to Google Search, why millions use 8.8.8.8, and a bit about the hidden infrastructure that makes the internet work. And here's the irony we started with. Everyone knows Google Search, but almost nobody knows Google DNS. But Google DNS handles 100 times more queries every single day. DNS is invisible because it works. It's automatic, it's fast, and you never have to interact with it directly. Good infrastructure is like that. It's invisible until it breaks. If you're curious, visit dns.google right now. Type in any website and see what DNS information exists. There's no account needed. It's free and it's educational. The internet has layers. Most of them are invisible, but all of them are essential. Now you understand one more layer. The one that turns names into addresses, so you can get where you're trying to go. Thanks for watching. If you learn something new about a service you use every day without knowing it, share this with someone else who might find it interesting. I've put links in the description to dns.google and Google's official documentation. If you actually want to switch to using Google's DNS, there are guides for every operating system. This is Tendo, and I'll see you in the next one.